What's going on, guys? I'm Tommy, and I'm coming at you with an action figure review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Hasbro The Black Series, MagnaGuard, Super Battle Droid, and Battle Droid 3-pack from Jedi Survivor. Go ahead and call me a fake Star Wars fan. I have yet to play Jedi Survivor as of the making of this review. However, when I saw that there was a 3-pack from this game that had some Battle Droids, including another chance to get the Super Battle Droid figure, I was like, I can't pass up on this. So here we are. I have this 3-pack in front of me. This pack was an Amazon exclusive for 2024. Hasbro's been doing a lot of multi-packs, and I'm glad that they have returned to not just 2-packs, but doing things like 3-packs like this. This is also part of the Gaming Greats subline. This used to be just a GameStop exclusive thing. They've kind of branched out. Some Gaming Greats stuff is now mainline. Some of it is obviously now Amazon. And I think it's great that this subline in particular has done so well that it's able to flourish to the main line and other retailers. So taking a look here, this is the standard packaging for a 3-pack in the Black Series right now. You have your Black Series logo up at the top. You have a gigantic plastic window here showing you all 3 figures and their accessories. On this side here, you have a little sticker for the Gaming Greats little logo, and there's some vertical text giving you all the characters' names and a little banner down here in the Gaming Greats color that says Jedi Survivor, and you also have a couple logos down here at the bottom. On this side, you get some mural art for all 3 of your characters, your Battle Droid, your Super, and I'm trying to get it into frame, the MagnaGuard here. And of course on the back, you also get those mural arts for all 3 of those guys, blown up quite a bit with the Jedi Survivor logo, Black Series logo, characters' names, and you get a bio in about 1,000 different languages. This bio reads, "In his fight to protect the galaxy, Cal Kestis must face a number of enemies. Reprogrammed MagnaGuards are formidable enemies to the Jedi with their deadly electro staffs. The Super Battle Droid is a bulkier, stronger, and more advanced version of the standard mechanical soldier that destroys anything in its path with rocket cannon fire. Variant B1 droids have been reprogrammed to serve a new master years after the end of the Clone Wars." And then of course down here you get your banner again, Jedi Survivor, and then you have all your legalese. Please guys, don't feed these action figures to your babies. On this side of the box, you have a Black Series logo. On the bottom here, you have even more legalese, and on the top, they give you nothing. So that is the packaging out of the way for this set. Let's get this opened and we'll check these figures out. Alright gang, here is everyone out of the box. Before we check out the figures, let's check out the accessories that each figure comes with. So, it looks like you really get technically one accessory for each of these characters. For the MagnaGuard, they have gone with this style of the Electro Staff. This is the more Clone Wars style Electro Staff. There is a different one that you see more in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I prefer this look actually with the clear ends, and then you can kind of attach your little lightning effects on the ends here. These lightning effects are a very, very pale purple. You can kind of fix them to the ends here. They're kind of hard to get on, if I'm being honest with you. They don't like to stick very well. So once you get the figure posed with this on, I would say definitely don't try to mess with it too much because these are prone to falling off. But it's a great accessory. It doesn't really need any paint applications. You know, it kind of speaks for itself, and I am very happy to have this accessory in the line. Moving on, for the Super Battle Droid, they seem to do this with every release of the Super Battle Droid. You get a little blast effect here. So this is a little effect that will attach to the wrist rockets. This is something that does separate, so technically you could pose this up as maybe he's just starting or finishing a blaster bolt here, and then the actual blaster bolt itself is a separate effect. These are done in some nice translucent red plastic. These are really, really nice pieces, and I'm always welcome to having more in my collection. And then of course we've got our battle droid, which does come with this little melee weapon here. This is a completely newly sculpted accessory. It's got some nice, this look kind of like Durasteel axe pieces on the ends, maybe part of a blaster that was kind of retrofitted here in the middle, and then there's your little grip area. It's got some minor paint applications to it, which is nice, and it's a nice new accessory. This is always welcome, and again, accurate to the game. The previous release of the Jedi Survivor Battle Droid did not come with this more accurate accessory, so I'm very happy to have this in the collection now. Alright guys, let's check out these figures. So the first one we're going to start with here is the MagnaGuard. So this MagnaGuard comes with some unique soft goods here. You have a unique soft goods kind of hood that kind of has some stitched wrappings that kind of drape around the body and hang down low. There's also some paint applications on the one on the back here, which I didn't even notice till just now because of how it was kind of warped from the packaging, but you get some nice gray paint applications with this one in a nice little unique design. I always appreciate when they add just a little bit of paint to these soft goods. I think it adds just a little bit more texture and character to the soft goods, makes them look a little less plain. Especially at this scale, there's only so much that you can do with the soft goods to make them actually work. So looking underneath these soft goods, this is really just the same exact release we got for the MagnaGuard as far as sculpt goes. This will be the same figure that you would have seen with the Clone Wars release of the MagnaGuard. So if you have that figure for the main line, this is the exact same figure. It's really just a retool slash repaint. Obviously with Jedi Survivor, a lot of the droids have their own unique paint jobs, so they've gone with that with this guy. You can see that he is mostly a white sculpt with little bits of silver and gunmetal strewn throughout, as well as this nice little maroon color, which seems to make up the kind of faction markings for these battle droids. This figure's really well done. I know he's a little bit underscaled for 6-inch figures, but I think that he's still done very, very well, and I can really give kudos to Hasbro for doing such a unique and intricate design from the Separatist army. Taking a look at his articulation real quick, we do have what looks like a double ball jointed neck going on up here, so you do get some down out of that. You also are going to get some up out of that. There's some good tilt you can get out of that head, as well as some right and some left here. He does have an interesting little ball joint here at the shoulder, so all of this like armor plating on the chest piece is all kind of a rubbery overlay, so it's going to kind of move itself out of the way as you're rotating those shoulders there. He can lift up those shoulders also on a hinge and swivel. On the Clone Wars MagnaGuard, I know a lot of people had issues with the shoulder armor, the shoulder plating kind of falling off. I'm not having this issue so far, knock on wood, but it definitely was an issue with the original release. And I seem to have just knocked it off, but it's very easy to get back on. There's just two little pegs. So usually what I end up doing is I just articulate the figure without the shoulder plating, and then I put the shoulder plating on at the end. Without the shoulder plating, this guy can get his shoulders well past the 90-degree mark. With it, it's more like that 90-degree mark, but again, you have that extra kind of ball joint on the inside of the shoulder, which is going to give you kind of the same effect as a butterfly joint. He can also obviously swivel his arms a full 360 degrees. Down here at the elbows, he has some single joints, which can get you to about a 90-degree bend, and they can hyperextend ever so slightly. He does have a forearm swivel about mid-forearm here, where this little bit of exposed circuitry kind of juts out from the plating at the elbow there. Then he does have some hinge and swivels at the wrists here, so you do have some swivel, and then of course you have that hinge which brings in at a horizontal angle, and it can hyperextend again ever so slightly the other direction. He's got a ball joint kind of middle of the torso here, which is going to get you some decent range, and then he also has a swivel here at the waist. At the hips he does have what looks like barbell joints, so you're going to have a little bit of kind of almost like a drop hip function, which is great for the Black Series. That's something you really don't see very often. At the knees here you got some single joints which are going to get you a little past that 90-degree mark, which is great for this character. He does also have some swivel at the top of the knee, but you're not going to get much range out of that because of the sculpt of the armor plating above the knee. Down here at the ankles, he is going to have a forward-facing pin for rocker system, as well as a hinge, which gets you some really nice forward and some nice back as well. This guy's got pretty good articulation, especially for how unique the sculpting is. I always do give Hasbro kudos for how well they do on unique droids and aliens for the Black Black Series line. I also think that these soft goods sit very nicely. I think the hood sits perfectly on this guy. And like I was saying before, the shoulder armor is even marked. So this one is marked, has an L sculpted into the bottom of it. I don't know if you could see that. So all you have to do is match these up, and then once they're matched up, the shoulder armor is back on the body, and it will stay on for the most part. Obviously, like you saw, it's probably gonna fall off, but you know, oh well. All right, moving on. We now have the Super Battle Droid, which honestly for me was probably the one I was most excited about from this set, because he comes with some new sculpting, that being this rocket launcher arm. This rocket launcher arm is something that I really hope we see in future releases with the kind of main coloring for the Super Battle Droid. This guy is done in a very, very bright silver here, as opposed to the usual very dark, almost like bluish gray color that they do a lot of the Super Battle Droids in a lot of the other Star Wars media. But I'm, again, always happy to have another Super Battle Droid to add to the collection, even if it is a different faction, a different paint deco style. I'm happy that this sculpting now exists in the line. This figure is phenomenal. This is a standout figure. I think this is probably a contender for figure of the year for 2024, so I would say that this guy definitely is worth, you know, picking up this pack just for this guy alone. Again, he's got that same kind of paint scheme for that faction there, some little brick color, some kind of off-white, some cream color going on, some black even throughout the character to kind of give you that faction feel from Jedi Survivor, and this is a character that also shows up in the game. The Super Battle Droid does have some hidden features like a removable head, which lets you see a painted photoreceptor in there, as well as a removable chest piece, which has a ton of paint apps underneath as well, some yellow, some white, some red. This is a feature that was not in this game, but was in the Republic Commando video game, and the fact that they've just gone out of their way to just make it a feature for every Super Battle Droid figure is pretty damn cool if you ask me. These have sculpting on the insides of the plating too, which is just nuts. I'd recommend putting the chest plate back on first before you put the head back on. I seem to be having some issues getting this to connect fully. I think mine is a little warped. This left side here doesn't fully connect, whereas the right side has no problem at all. It is what it is, so just be wary of that. It's nothing that some hot water can't fix. And then all you do is just press down on the head there. And now your Super Battle Droid is ready to go back into action. This guy has some great articulation too. So obviously no head or neck articulation on this guy other than the removable head feature. At the shoulder series, got again that like almost barbell joint where it's like one rod that connects the inside of the shoulder and the arm. And it's got some really nice range, as you can see. At the top of the elbow, there's a swivel. There is a hinge joint at the elbow, which gets you about 90 degrees on the arm with the wrist rockets, and then with the rocket launcher arm you can get about 45 degrees, but if you spin that to the side a little bit here, it can get you past that 90 degree mark, so just keep that in mind. If you have it, the sculpting is going to block it from getting more than 45 degrees. He does also have a swivel at the bottom of the elbows, and then he's actually got hinge and swivels at the wrist, so he's got that swivel there, and then he's also got horizontal hinge at the wrist. And of course there is another swivel at the bottom of the elbow for that rocket launcher. He's got a ball joint about middle of the torso here, which is going to give you some really nice range for such a bulky character. And then down here at the hips, he's got some really nice ball joints here, which again, as you can see, are going to give you just some really, really nice range. You can move those in and out. You can actually move them almost like how a thigh swivel would be, even though there's also a thigh swivel sculpted in here, as well as another swivel at the top of the knee, a hinge at the knee, which actually has a sculpted cut in the back of the lower leg so that it can actually give you more range and get you well past that 90 degree mark. And then he also has a forward facing pin for rocker at the ankles and a hinge, which gets you plenty of forward and plenty of back. This figure, in my opinion, is pretty flawless. Aside from, this is the first time that I've ever had an issue with the warping of the armor plating for the chest here. It still stays on the figure just fine, and considering that these are old battle droids at this point, I actually think it's going to just fit my display even better. Again, the Super Battle Droid is a standout figure for 2024, and I will take every opportunity I can to get another one for my collection. Okay, setting him off to the side, now let's check out our final figure, the Battle Droid. The Battle Droid has been done so many times in the Black Series line now that you should know what you're getting into. This guy actually has some different decos than the previously released Jedi Survivor Battle Droid, so that's cool that you get a unique deco for this guy. It's not just a complete repack. This guy has a lot less paint application on on the torso area. And he's also got a lot lighter colors in general than the other Survivor Battle Droid. I'll show you a comparison later in the review, but right now we're just going to focus on this guy. I like that the brighter silver is there. Again, we have that brick color. Our Battle Droid and our Super Battle Droid, these two go together really, really well. These paint schemes match up identically. But aside from that, again, it's a Battle Droid. We have gotten several Battle Droids in the Black Series line in different decos, so there's only so much that I can say about the sculpted detail on this guy. Taking a look at his articulation, however, I will do that. There is a ball joint at the top of the head, which is going to get you some decent range. He can look technically down, but you'd have to move the lower joint of the neck there to do that. He can look up, and then you also have a hinge on the back of the head here. That hinge is going to give you some extra range when you're moving the head around or putting it in its folded position, and it can get you some good tilt here, as well as obviously the right and left movement. And like I mentioned before, there is a hinge at the bottom of the neck, which gets you some good forward and back, and you can actually pull this up a bit. There's a rod hiding under there. This is to help you, again, fold the Battle Droid up like you see in the Phantom Menace. He does have a backpack, which is removable. However, we do not have the alternate little backpack piece for this guy. The antennas, there's two of them on the back of the backpack. These do extend individually and they lock into place, or you can push them back down if you'd like them to be down. His shoulders are very interesting. So he's got a swivel here, which gets you a full 360 degrees, and then the hinge for the shoulder joint has its own swivel as well. So kind of just make sure that you're keeping these in line with each other if you really want to get the maximum up on that hinge there, which is a little more than 45 degrees for that arm. He does have a bicep swivel that is articulated in there, as well as a hinge at the elbow there. This is going to get you past that 90-degree mark going forward, and it can hyperextend past that 90-degree mark backwards. He does have some forearm swivel that's sculpted in, as well as some wrist hinge and swivel, so that swivel looks great. And then the hinges are horizontal hinges that can bring in about 45 degrees, and they can go out about 90 degrees, which is great for that articulation. He's got a really interesting midsection system here. So it is kind of a ball joint. However, these little pieces on the side are connected and they move independently. This is actually accurate to how the Battle Droids move in universe, and I think it's very clever the way that Hasbro engineered this so that you can achieve that movement if you have him looking from side to side with the torso there. At the hips, you have some pretty limited articulation. There is no ball joint, it's just a swivel. It can technically go a full 360 degrees if you'd like it to. Down at the knees, he's got a hinge joint. He can basically kick his own ass, and that is because there is, like the Super Battle Droid, a cut sculpted into the back of the lower legs. This is again to help you get into that folded up position. These knees can also hyperextend just a little bit, and then down here at the ankles, we have a swivel kind of at the top of the ankle, bottom of the lower leg, and then we have a hinge at the ankles here, which gets you some really nice forward and some really nice back there. Real quick, I'm going to show you that this guy can also get folded up into that Phantom Menace kind of folded up position. So you're going to kind of want to lean your ankles forward a little bit, kind of pull the legs all the way up here. You're going to bring that neck peg up a little bit, and you're going to pull that down. And then with the arms, it's really easy. You just kind of make him hug his body, and there you go. Now you can have your Battle Droid all folded up like they are in the Phantom Menace. This is a feature that all the Battle Droids in the Black Series have. All right, so now that we've covered articulation on all of these figures, let's get them with their accessories, and we'll pose them up a few ways. All right, here's everyone kitted out with their accessories here at kind of just a ready stance. This is some great basic posing for your shelf if you don't have a lot of room, and it's a great way to pose these guys up. All right, here I've got these guys posed up in some more battle-ready poses. We're using the blast effect for the Super Battle Droid here, and I've got these guys posed up in what I think are some great poses for your display if you're looking for something more dynamic. And here we have some great one-legged running poses for these guys, getting them into almost like a superhero team, like the Battle Droid version of the Justice League. These guys look great as a team here, and I think they're a great army builder set for this faction if you're a big Jedi Survivor collector. Just for some quick comparisons here is our MagnaGuard from the 3-pack on the right, next to the Clone Wars MagnaGuard I mentioned earlier. Here we have the Super Battle Droid flanked by the single-release Super Battle Droid from 2024 and the Geonosis-specific Super Battle Droid from that Battle Droid and 3PO 2-pack. And here's our Jedi Survivor Battle Droid on the right here, next to the single-release Gaming Greats Survivor Battle Droid, which came out last year. Overall, this is a really fun set. If you're someone that loves the Jedi games, or if you just love droids, I think this is the set for you. Some of these figures, like the MagnaGuard with the shoulder armor and the battle droid, as per usual, can be a little quirky at times, but once you get them posed up, they are just as good as any other action figure. This is a great set, and I'm honestly glad that they put out variants like this in multi-packs. I think it gives us as collectors more of a chance to get groups of obscure characters all at once as opposed to waiting release to release. But with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to Blitz Transmissions. I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. Make sure to check out my social media, all of which is linked in the description below. That's going to be all for this review, guys. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.